sustain 3 or damage if he's an absolute monster? Like, can you kill him? If, let's say there's an LOS object. Let's say just like at the base of Blade's Edge, there's just a little pillar there. Can you kill him full coolies as a rogue versus full coolies on a druid? Yeah.
I think as a warrior, it's harder. I think as a druid, I have a little bit more margin for mistakes. But all in all, if a rogue doesn't make a mistake versus a wrestle druid, and the wrestle druid doesn't make a mistake, I mean, eventually that rogue's going to probably kill that wrestle druid.
Take forever, but I think that
I see a lot of rogues struggle with it, and I think that I finally kind of got it down. You know, like you gotta think like kind of 5 steps ahead, and I think multi-classing really helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm on my druid, I'm looking for that rogue's cloak, because after his cloak, I want to fury fire him. You know what I mean? And then I want to entangle him, and I know that the only way he's going to get to me and touch me after that is with a cloak. So when I'm on my rogue, I kind of keep in mind, you know, I'm going to open up with a cheap shot kidney on the druid. If he sits it, you know, you kind of have to think right then and there. You have 2 vanishes. You need to use those 2 vanishes around the thought of when he's going to get a fury fire up and with your cloak. You don't want to waste your cloak on just getting a fury fire off. So I think I've just kind of like try to maximize your uptime on the druid, but without wasting your cloak for when you actually really need it, and just keeping those 5 wounds up. Like a lot of times you'll see rogues and they'll be hitting a druid. It's just him and the druid, and I did this for a while until someone told me. They're like, "Why do you have a cripple offhand on the druid? Why do you need to slow that druid? Because if he's going to get away from you, he's going to get away from you anyways." And I'm like, you know what, you're right. Why don't I just use double wounds on the druid and just stay on him? I have 2 sprints. I have a vanish. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you want to, pump out your cheap shot kidney. It's going to drop him down pretty low if he's not fully hotted. And then right out of that, if it's a druid, he's spamming that fury fire button.
Yeah.
So like you want to blow that first vanish pretty quick. You might as well optimize.
Why is it so important that he gets the fairy fire on
silence
you,
off?
Because you have the cloak, right? It doesn't really matter. Like, I mean.
Yeah, but you don't want to get entangled with fairy fire on, or else you're out of the game for the next could be 30 seconds.
What do you mean?
So you want to maximize your. What's that?
Can't you just cloak out of that though? If you're entangled with fairy fire on.
Yeah, but then you're going back to cloaking just for that fairy fire, like you said, that you don't want to waste.
Yeah. It's weird. I'm trying in my head to like describe it, and
no, I know what it means.
I think I have to do it just to show you.
So you cloak the fairy fire, and then you're scared of getting rooted afterwards. Pretty much, like
it's really different.
You guys can duel right now and show
but
it.
The thing is, though, if Rek doesn't use his vanish, and then gets fairy fired, then he cloaks vanish, then gets fairy fired again. He's got 1 vanish he can't use. You know what I mean?
You need
to be really careful. Yeah. Because he's got a vanish there, which is ready, but he just can't use it because of the FF.
Exactly.
And now he hasn't got cloak anymore, so he's kind of like waiting for the cloak CD or a dispel to get the FF off, so he can use his other vanish. Because you get 2 vanishes with the prep.
I see.
But it seems really good, but that's their weakness right there. They have to have those.
It's very easy to make it so that druid can never cast. So, but versus Tauren, if you don't have cloak, if you can't cloak that war stomp, or if you can't mind numb that war stomp, like that's it. You're done right there. That's gonna be your trinket. So you have to kind of pick. Are you gonna save your trinket for the Nature's Grasp? Are you gonna save your trinket for the war stomp clone on you, or war stomp entangle on you if you don't have cloak? Or you kind of have to pick and choose. You have to see where their health's at. What are they trinketing? When are you going to use your blind? Can you put out enough pressure on him that he kind of forgets to put Fury Fire on you? And it's around 10 seconds, so you can blind him right when your Fury's around 9 seconds or so you can get a re-stealth after that and put him into a stab and re-up on him. There's a lot of thought that actually goes into it that people don't really think about. And high-level druids know exactly what to do, and you really have to think like 5 steps ahead.
I've just tried to stay alive against rogues just to practice and just keep running away from them, and I feel like they always get me, man. I can never just stabilize against the rogue. They have enough, and it seems like with full cooldowns that you're able to kill the druid even through everything, stomp, clone.
I think if you play it right, you should be able to kill the druid. And that's the thing too, is like if you're playing rogue druid versus druid, it's not just your cooldowns you're kind of operating on. There's a lot more that comes into it. I see Azzy's about to charge me. I'm going to switch to my weapon chain, stuff like that. And then my druid sees that he's about to charge me, disarm me, and the druid's going to get away and get a re, and then they're going to have an upper advantage on us. The druid now, my druid's like, okay, he's going to charge you and disarm you. I see that your kidney's about to end. I'm going to clone out of your kidney. And it's just a 5-second with the weapon chain on. So now he comes out of the clone. I can re-up on him as he's sitting there, you know, in an entangle or whatever. Or he's going to use his fear to try and stop the clone or focus pummel him, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. What about as a warrior, though? How do you do versus druids, Azzy?
It's very hard, mate. I think the druid usually has the upper hand against the warrior.
Mm.
There's a lot of mind games against the druid as a warrior. A lot of mind games, like with the pummels and stuff. And like they're always going to try and bait your pummel. And yeah, it's not so much. You can't just use like CD after CD after CD because we don't really have it. So it's more about mind games and when you're going to pummel. And like for example, it's like say if I pummel the druid, then like I know soon he's going to cast on me again, and I've got pummel CD, so I might run out and intercept him, and then I might even fear, and then I get my pummel back, and like there's a lot of stuff which depends on if you can kill him or not. But it's really really hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, do you result in your reflect being your last pick?
You pretty much depends on rage, yeah. But like I don't really like to reflect because as soon as you reflect, like if you're in Berserker and you reflect, you've legit got 0 rage. Then you're going to switch to the two-hander eventually. And you're in combat as it is, and so when you switch weapons in combat, it costs you a global. So when you reflect something, you lose a lot of damage at the same time. So it's got to be really calculated.
Is that a TBC mechanic? So when you're out of combat, you don't have the global when you swap weapons? And
exactly.
If you're in combat, it costs a global.
Exactly.
That's in Classic, it just costs a global regardless, so that's really nice. So if you're just walking around out of combat, you can swap weapons instantly to something.
Instant. Yeah, you can spam it and just on and off.
Yo, that's huge, man. That's why rogues have all the different poisons. Makes sense because it doesn't cost them anything. They just instantly.
If you're wondering, when, I don't know, I might have missed it. If you're wondering when the big reason he plays gnome, Druids is one of the big reasons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Against the gnome warrior, I actually have such a hard time getting away from it, man. Just because they can't even root them or anything, and then they have the trinket for the clone. Like
me and Trey will go up against Horde warrior druids, and we're like, okay, we know what to do. And then Trey will see like a gnome warrior, and he'll be like, oh, this is gonna be a pain in the ass.
The other thing too is entangling roots is so big to try to get away from the warrior. Sometimes the warrior partner will try to hit it, like the druid, and get the root on him, and then it just feels so hopeless, man.
Yeah, definitely, man.
You probably got some dope spell reflex off, huh? Oh man, I saw you do that blind. What'd you do to blind? Intercepted the blind or something the other day?
Intervene the blind, yeah. I tell you what. Do you want to know something I've done today though? I don't. It doesn't happen very often, but I actually I spell reflected NS clone on a druid. I just knew he was going to NS clone. I saw the CDs he had. I saw how desperate he was. And I'm like, right, he's going to NS clone. I just pop reflect. And he just NS clone reflects.
That's crazy.
So, what would you recommend, guys, as our kind of like final talking point here before we wrap up? Like, sort of, there's a lot of people that might be watching. They might be super intimidated by the arena, and they should be. It actually is very challenging, but also extremely fun and rewarding. And if you were to recommend them a path forward, like if you were new to the game, you guys are seasoned at this point, how would you approach it? Are you approaching twos first? Do you have a certain comp that like comes to mind that might be have like a decent skill floor to work on, or if how do they hack through that learning curve as fast as possible?
The best advice I could possibly give to anyone like starting TBC Arena, I think pick a combo which you like. I think the most important thing is pick a partner you enjoy playing with, and a partner who doesn't mind if you make mistakes and is willing to learn, not a partner who gets mad and like just blames you for everything. You need someone who you enjoy playing with, and like all the other stuff will just come naturally, like getting better at the game and stuff, as long as your partner has potential. Like obviously some players have more potential than other players, but I think it's just playing with someone you got synergy with and someone you just really enjoy playing with, and like the rest will kind of come naturally as long as you like really want to learn.
Yeah, I think that's first, and then, just like I said, and right when we started, the knowledge is there. So find a comp, just like as you said, find out your partner, and then go research who is the best and who's doing the best at that. Watch their streams, watch their videos. Gather as much knowledge as you can, and then just apply those. And just get them down.
Would you play double? I mean, I know. These are extremely wise words, and it makes so much sense. I think that resonates with everybody. Like, one of the things that's a big turn off for the WoW PvP scene a lot of the times is that you'll try to queue up games with some random person, you lose one game and they're telling you to KYS or something, right? And it's just like, well, like time to go to another game or some shit, But do you think you develop better fundamentals playing double DPS, or does it not matter? Maybe playing just healer or DPS is fine.
I think double DPS is a lot more faster paced comp, and a lot you can't make as many mistakes, and they're not as forgiving as playing with a healer. So I think you should start off, for the most part, with a healer comp. That way you can kind of slow things down. Get your mechanics right, get your strats right, see what all these opposing classes and stuff are doing to you. And then once you fine tune it, you're comfortable, you know all your keybinds, and you know what to do and how to react to things. That's when you go to a double DPS comp. Like Rogue Mage is very, very fast. Like games don't last more than a minute usually. Same with a lot of the other double DPS comps. Like you can't make a mistake. Even I don't know if Roguelock for instance. Like you're on a timer.
You can't make a mistake at all.
Yeah, I mean. You're on a timer. You can't reset your health bar. You don't have mage food. You don't have, if you miss a fear or same thing with like Shadow Priest Rogue, you don't have that many reset opportunities and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, seriously, wise words.
Guys, right now there's 2 very viable servers, arena servers to play on right now. You log in and you're already 70. You're instant 70. Everybody has the exact same gear, and you can practice your heart's desire. There's thousands of people dueling all the time. Find people to play with. It's the best way to do it. If you're trying to get classic. If you're getting bored of classic or you're trying to segue into TBC, the best people ask all the time. Ask me this every day. The best way to prepare for TBC is to get on one of these servers.
100%.
Yep.
Can I just
say arena servers, you can't do anything but arena and duel.
And right now, go ahead, Nancy.
I think the thing is though, if you practice now, instead of when the real thing comes, instead of the learning phase being on the real thing like classic TBC, if you practice now, a lot of the stuff that you will struggle on maybe on retail TBC, you would have learned through playing on the tournament servers. So essentially, if you go into classic TBC more prepared, I feel like you probably have more fun as well because you understand the game better. And instead of learning, you're more playing at a competitive level.
You'll have friends to play with, right? If you start now, having a play group is so huge, like you said, right? So you'll have people to try new comps with, have all. So just develop that sense of community, and I'm really impressed by the TBC community you guys have helped foster. I had no idea it was so tight knit. And just through Cricks, I've been able to see it. And I think these people are really onto something with these tournament servers, man. I've been talking about it on stream a lot. It takes all the overhead and painful grindiness out of WoW, which can be enjoyed in its own light, just the whole RPG aspect of it. But there's something so much fun about just being able to jump in and experience all the classes with kind of templated gear, and not have to worry about the scarcity of soul stones and cooldowns back. It is so much fun, guys. You're gonna go deep down the rabbit hole if you give it a shot. It's I'm very much there myself right now.
It's fun, man. You just talk to one person. He gives you all the gear. You don't have to worry about what gear you're supposed to wear. Obviously, you can min-max if you get used to it. But Argos just started over there recently, and he's loving it. And it's a good learning curve. If you think unless you've already done arena. If you've already done arena and you know what to expect, but if you haven't done arena in millions of years and you think you're gonna go in the TBC and kill it, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, you're not going to. Season 1. It's a practicing, man.
Yeah. Having multiple of the same class too is nice too, so you can play with friends. I'm sure you have that, right, Ozzy? You probably have a couple warriors, right? Rec, you probably have a couple rogues.
Exactly. On Endless right now, it's flush every day, so you get arena points every day. So I'm playing on 3 or 4 warriors with 4 different druids. So it's easy, man. It's easy gear and that, and it's chill.
Yep.
But as well, one reason I do that as well is I don't want to play too many games in the same team with different druids, because then certain druids wouldn't get capped, because you've got to get 30% games played within the team to get points, and at least 10 games. So if I play with 4 druids in one team, there's a good chance 3 of them won't get flush or something. So that's one thing about arena you got to be careful about.
Well, on that point too, what is the strategy if you're trying to push ratings seriously and get the most points per week? Are you playing the minimum amount of games? I mean, is there a strategy, or do you just win? I mean, is it that simple, or is
what to farm rating? What's the easiest way to farm high rating?
If you're an amazing player, season, you're just going to be good regardless, and you can just queue games and win. But if you're struggling, you're on that elo hell, grinding your way up. Are you playing, just enough games to where you feel like you're in a good spot and you just hold, to get points for the week? Or
Nah. At that point, you just want to spam as much games as possible, because practice makes perfect. You just want to spam.
Spam.
Even now, I feel like I can still there's stuff I can improve on, and I played TBC for a very long time. So I think the best way is just spam games, really, man. With someone who's got an idea of what to do, kind of.
That's the nice thing about the TBC community is even you'll talk to a lot of the people who have been rank 1, this and that, and they'll literally say to you, I'm still learning. I still learn something every week.
Oh yeah.
The TBC community is so helpful. I feel like maybe it's just
It's way better than a lot. Like the classic community is just, not great. And coming from a Lich King, player base for years, I have way more Lich King time than TBC. Like the Lich King community isn't even close to as tight knit as TBC.
And one thing as well, like one thing I want to mention as well with the TBC meta and how people are still learning and like the meta is evolving. So like people use weapon chain now. Like this wasn't really a thing until like a year ago or like recently. Like you see a few warriors use it, but now like everyone's using it. Like rogues are using it. I even see Pallies using weapon chain. Like the meta is still in a sense kind of changing. Like people are always finding like little things to improve on, like really small like min-max stuff.
Real quick, just because people keep asking, the Discord I'm going to link right now is to the Endless Arena server Discord. It's just in the info channel. Scroll down all the way down. Ignore everything you see until you scroll all the way down, and you'll see how to get on the server.
Put the henhouse one in there too, right? I mean,
yeah, I put them both in there.
I would say right now, I'm not trying to advertise for any of them, but one thing I did notice is when that henhouse server released compared to the Endless ones, Endless seemed a lot more people that have played TBC before, majority-wise. Henhouse, like there was thousands of like literally classic players that had no fucking clue what was going on. You could tell just by looking at them when they were in arena.
Important for
and then and they're walking around, they're all dueling and everything else. Like Henhouse has a huge, and NA-wise too. Henhouse had a huge NA population. Like 2 a.m. I've never seen so many people on at 2 a.m. on NA times on these EU based servers for years now.
Yeah, I was getting
a lot of new players coming in, and they're all getting ready, and they're getting TBC hyped.
I was getting those NOS chills, man, kind of thing where it's like it feels like this like red hot underground server. People are coming there learning. Like you're part of this kind of, I don't know. Some people out there are gonna know what I feel like. It was very exciting, still is, but now it's a little bit more dead now. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a bit split, but
yeah, it's because of the Endless, man. A lot of the good players will play on Endless now, I think, and I think most of the good people will be on Endless, and there'll be more of I'd say more like casual players on Henhouse probably.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to Henhouse.
Yeah,
it's where I can shine. It's funny though, because like the NA population was mostly on Henhouse, and like the EU will stick to Endless majority. Like a lot of the NA players that have been playing for a while will definitely play both. It feels like, but there was a huge NA base on Henhouse.
Well, here's another thing. I don't know if this could have no legs at all, but I don't know if you've seen it all. What we've done with like hardcore WoW. It's like basically a community game mode, and I do think it's kind of like a turning point where a precedent or whatever you want to call it, where the community can pull it off if they want to create and define their own meta with an interesting rule set. Like you can do that and make it exciting and get people to like buy into it. And we have the tools with streaming and recording to pull it off. So where I'm going with this is, with Arena and TBC, it'd be kind of cool to have a community like league, like a star league or something like that, with prize pools, sponsors, and maybe you could shift the meta with unique challenges for seasons. Maybe you couldn't do this or do that, and it could be interesting. I'd like to see the potential of TBC as far as an esport or whatever you want to call it for the real thing.
Yeah, like CDL, like which Tips Out used to do and stuff. I reckon it could be like some TBC tournaments on the way. Like that's the one reason which I would take an NA Warrior. That's like the one reason I would like an NA Warrior is just to do the tournaments.
I think you're going to see a lot of those. They're going to go crazy. Not only that, you're missing the big things. Like I haven't seen an MLG tournament for WoW in a while. Regarding I also don't really follow retail that much. But, you'll see, like, MLG and stuff come back, I think, with TBC. And if they progress in the Lich King Arena, I think you'll see, like, the Arena Junkies and all that big stuff could possibly come back. I hope it does.
Yeah, we can do that,
that's when the WoW, absolutely. That's when the WoW community was 100% at its prime.
Yep, elitist jerks and stuff. You remember only gladiators or something could post in there? Or so there was some kind of rule where you couldn't post unless you were 24 rating or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not only that, I mean, you're actually already kind of getting a preview of it. The people that have held on to the TBC and Lich King Passions, you got to give it to them because a lot of them have kind of held on, or some of them are coming back. Like, back when I played TBC, I remembered, the World of Ming blogs, the rogue.com with the cryos, things like that. Like things that like people who did on their absolute free time that had such a passion for the game, had all these websites and spent their own money, their time, their coding and all that. And you're actually seeing a glimpse of that already come back. And TBC actually hasn't even been officially announced yet.
True, yeah.
So Silent Shadows is going to be kind of a form of, the new Rogue or World of Ming, where they're going to have blogs and, interviews and stuff like that. I know, Cargos, you're doing a lot with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I mostly, I don't have a ton of time, so if I'm missing anyone, please let me know. But, you see all that passion. It's coming back, or it never left, and people have just been waiting eagerly for this stuff.
Before the excitement, too, everyone here is going to be like the day zero folks that are interested in TBC before it even is announced, I've said too, again, and I'm beating a dead horse here, maybe preaching to the choir or whatever, but I do think TBC provides a balance between retail WoW. If you look at Shadowlands and some of the modern amenities, look, feel, color palette, stylistically, the art, all that, and then also the classic world, right? So there's a chance that it just brings a whole bunch of people from both sides of the fence together for TBC, and it could be awesome.
I'm glad you said this, God of War in chat, because I was going to wait till they were done talking. He said, if they do TBC BlizzCon, do you think the winners would be OGs like Vin Rookie and C doing them, or is it going to be these private server boys? And I think it's going to be these motherfucking private server boys, man. I think I'm not going to say they're shit, because they're really good, but Season 1 and 2 is going to be owned by the private server guys. And then as they get their bearings, Season 4, those guys will, but I don't think,
the finals are going to be Rec D versus Azzy God, man, we'll see.
No, Azzy God has been doing this for 10,000 years. They haven't. That's the bottom line. They know the mechanics more, little. You know what I mean?
I'm sure Azzy's drooling at like that comment, just waiting to answer it, like same as me. It's just like that question there is just like it's like politics.
You can't wait.
Like, I can't even like just get into it because it's just a huge war, and it's just kind of be like, what, might as well just stay back, stay humble, and see what happens. You never know.
Yeah. To be fair, I do think the private server players will have the edge. But having said that, though, there are a few retail players which I do feel like who will shine, like the Vent Rookie and your Snuts, and like I think these kind of players, like they will like understand the concept eventually because they invest so much time in the game, and like they're genuinely good players, even if they don't play TBC. Like if you're genuinely a good player, like a really good player, you could like understand stuff really fast and like. You adapt super fast. So there are a few retail players who will be good for sure, but I do think it will be like private server dominated.
You gotta think too is that Vin Rookie and Sea-Doo and all those guys, right? A lot of them still hold Vengeful Glad and Brutal Glad on their retail characters to this day, and they got sponsored. They've been MLG and BlizzCon champions and this and that throughout the course of time. And they've had to stick with retail because, that's also a part of their revenue. So they can't go and, stream with 5 to 50,000, viewers playing TBC. It just doesn't work for them. I'm sure they're over there waiting for it to come back as well. I'm sure they missed that, era of the game and this and that. And they'll probably do well in it again. But I was in Showbeck's stream earlier and someone made a comment just like that. And I literally said to him, and I'm not saying like this is going to be the same thing that happens to everyone, but like, I did well through pretty much TBC and Lich King on retail up until MOP. And then MOP, I said, WoD released, the first season of WoD released, and I said, this game is just, the PvP is just dead to me. And I went back to Lich King, and I think it was Warmane or Molten at the time. It was the first private server I went on. It was an arena tournament server for Lich King. And I'm like, I'm a relentless gladiator. Like, I'm going to smoke all these people. I still know how to play. I logged on. It took me absolutely months of getting destroyed before I even had, like, a grasp of knowledge of how I used to play. Like, it takes a while. And, like, still, like, I learn every single day. I'm not even close to compare to a lot of these top-tier guys. And I've been playing now for about a year back on TBC.
Damn. Got a ways to go, Cricks. We got to catch up, bro.
Oh, bro.
Sponge mode.
I don't want to talk about it.
Like you said, the knowledge is out there, so it's just...
We got it, bro. That's what we're trying to do. Our goal is to just bring this knowledge to everybody, man, because no one else is going to do it, and if anybody else is going to do it, we're going to do it a little bit better, because look who we have. So you can expect a whole shit ton of PvP for every class, everything we're going to do. We're going to do a PvP part series of the episodes of the podcast. This is just the first part. We got many more PvP to do.
Yep.
Class dives, man, everything.
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, we should start wrapping too. Ozzy's probably
together,
falling asleep at this point. It's probably like 6 a.m. or something over there. But folks, if you could type something in the chat if you're alive, if any of you are still awake. If you could do Crix and myself a huge favor here, and just go ahead and follow these guys on their platforms. Just make it worth their time for being here and sharing.
Have risen between the Alliance and the Horde. The true enemy of the world lies unseen. Beyond the dark portal.
We are joined today by two very special guests, two extremely big brain German mages. They're going to give it to us straight. We have Jigsaw and my man Riddle. How you guys doing?
Fine, man.
Yeah,
All great. Nice to be here.
Yep, thanks for the invitation.
Hell yeah, no, it's the pleasure's all over on this side of the fence. Crix, my man. A few days later, we're doing two weeks. 2 weeks. How you feeling today, my friend?
Feeling fucking great, bud. How you doing, man? I'm ready to learn about these mages that I hate, but I love it. I hate at the same time.
Same. Even if you're not playing mage, it's still extremely valuable to learn how all the classes work. It will make whatever class you are maining or decide to end up playing, will make you just a much better player, knowing what tools the other classes have to play with. So, we're just going to hop right into it. A lot to go over, straight to the point. We're going right into the agenda. Here it is. Guest intros will be the first thing that we get done. So, apologies in advance, Riddle and Jigsaw. We put our guests through a little bit of cringe just to warm them up to the audience. They can get to know them a little bit. Jigsaw, let's start with you, man. Could you be so kind to tell us your history with the game, like when you started playing, and maybe some of your accolades or things that you're proud of playing on private servers or retail? Let's start there.
Sure, man. Okay, yes, I'm playing World of Warcraft since the end of the classic retail, back in the days, like, I don't know how many years it was ago, like 8 years ago, I think, or 9 years even. I don't know exactly. I started to play Mage at the early TBC release. Was mostly doing PvE there, and was not much the PvP Mage. I didn't like Arena that much because I was like getting pumped all the time, losing the most games, and yeah, I had not that much fun in Arena. And I switched to Warrior then in the middle of TBC, like Season 3, Season 4. I switched to Warrior and started to improving my Arena skills there. But was not reaching any title or something. And at the start of War of the Lich King, I was going literally ham in the arena, quitting my real life, like everyone was doing at this time. And yeah, I was like pumping with Mage, some 3s, RMP, and reaching my first really high rating. Soon I reached my first Gladiator title. And yeah, then I continued the full content of War of the Lich King, played every season on Mage, a bit of Warrior, but yeah, mostly Mage in the higher brackets. I played always 2 mages, like one on Horde, one on Alliance side, because I had multiple mates I wanted to play with, multiple comps I wanted to play with. And yeah, that's then I played Cataclysmin at the next. I played the first 2 seasons there, also Mage, and was pretty good. RMP was very strong in that time. I remember that. And then I stopped because I had no more time in real life. I was working, and yeah, it was not the best moment for continuing to get high rating in the arena and put so much effort in it. Then I made a break till, what was it? Help me. Legion? Yeah, was it Legion? Yeah, it was Legion. Yeah, I came back in Legion, played the start of Legion, but it was not the same game for me anymore. And yeah, in between that time, all the time, I were playing on TBC servers the whole time. Even when War of the Lich King came out, I was on a TBC private server. I was on the Arena tournament server from TBC on the first one we ever made. Instantly, it was, I think, in the first month when they opened, I was on there, and I always played it. So between my breaks, I always was on Burning Crusade, so I never quit that add-on. Same like War of the Lich King, I was also playing War of the Lich King very much. So, but basically my main add-on is Burning Crusade. So for Arena and for Mage.
Hell yeah,
played
man.
it like since 6 years straight.
Gladiator title under your belt, man. Congrats on that. That's huge. So we're in the presence of a gladiator here. So what is major class? Like, is that the class that resonates with you the most out of all of them? And if so, what is? Or if not, what is?
I don't know. Mage was always the class like where you can do so much. You legit you are a 1 versus 1 beast if you want to. You can win in the arena at the end when your mate is dying and there's nothing left. So and you still can win those games. And that was always a thing that I wanted to do. So I was never the guy who played the healer or going for PvE and going tanking like I did that one season. Like I think in Gruul at the start of TBC, I tanked with my warrior, but it was nothing for me. So we're going back to arena. And Mage was always that guy who, if you let him shatter or if you let him do his damage, it's insane. And even if you can't cast, you're doing a thing, and you're such a big person in your team. I don't know. You're always like in 3s or 2s. You're like the team captain. You making the calls and you decide what to do mostly. Yeah, that was the reason why I still like Mage the most.
Oh yeah. What do you see as the biggest strength and biggest weakness of the mage in TBC? I know it's hard to point, your finger to one thing because it's a very.
The biggest strength from Mage in TBC is for sure the CC and the high burst. You have so much CC with Frost Nova, slows, Blizzard Wing 1. It's like you're slowing the whole arena if you want. So you can slow down every game if it's hard and your team needs to back up. It's like you're going for a Blizzard and putting slows everywhere, and you're going for sheeps, and you have a counter spells. Like you can literally shut down the enemy team if you want for like 4 or 5 seconds instantly. That's one of the biggest good points for the mage. Yeah.
What about its biggest weakness? Is there any weakness that usually when people pilot a class a lot, you see the cracks in the armor and where they are, right? For you, cracks
one of the biggest
warlock with the pet and stuff. Yeah.
One of the biggest weakness for Mage in TBC is for sure the mana gameplay. Especially when you go against comps with Warlocks or like 2 versus 2 comps, you are always hanging on your mana bar. So you literally need to watch your mana bar. When you're like on 30% mana, you need to go back and get this mana bar full, because otherwise you're dying and you're losing. So that's not like in every other add-ons. Like even Wrath of the Lich King, you have much more mana, and it was easier. It was still look at your mana, but in TBC is the mana issue maybe one of the biggest problems, and that you need to cast like in the first seasons where you have no haste. It's like you're casting very slow. You need to know when can I cast, when can I go for a shatter, or when can I do the sheep. So it's like casting and mana. It's like the biggest issues for Mage.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for sharing that, man. Let's move on to Riddle over here. Riddle, if you could be so kind to share with the audience your history with the game, kind of just when you started playing and leading up to where we are today.
Yeah, hello everybody. I started playing WoW like after a long period of playing Warcraft 3 when it released in 2005 in Germany, and from then on I played I think until the add-on after Wrath of the Lich King. I think it was Cataclysm. But then I started disliking the game. But for me personally, like TBC was really the best add-on of WoW. Like I feel like Wrath of the Lich King was still okay, but it lost the spirit there. And then I couldn't stand the new game any longer, the retail versions, and I went to private servers, starting on Phoenix, and from then on I played on Phoenix, on some German private server, Nostalrius, I think every big server I played on. And 2 years ago I think I found my interest for TBC again and joined on the Gummy TBC server, which unfortunately closed very soon after I started playing there, and then I waited for the Netherwing release, which was really, really nice, except for the sanitizing start, if you know what I mean. They had some server issues and put on a sanitizer, and it was a really funny lag fest. But after that, the server was really flawless, well scripted, and I played Arcane Mage there, and it was really, really, really fun. And especially my guild on that server, Memory, I don't know if that rings a bell for some of you, was also a really, really nice community, and right now I'm playing Classic with them in preparation for Classic TBC on Sandala Tribe in the guild Praxis.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. Do you have a favorite and least favorite aspect of the mage class?
Yeah, the favorite is like, it's so versatile, you can do so many things, you can do good solo farming, you're decent in PvE, in PvP, and you also, if you really want to be good, you have to think a lot about your gameplay. It's very detailed things that some people think of as minor things, but these are the things that really make a good player. And if you do many small things very good, then the total outcome will be a good performance. And what I dislike, obviously, in TBC is the mana. Like it was previously said by Chicks, it's just crazy. You have to manage your mana. It can be rough sometimes, but on the other side, it's also, especially in PvE, it's a really good challenge that makes the class more fun.
So this is really cool, guys. We have, it seems like from the looks of it, Jigsaw's more on the PvP side. I'm sure you know both of you guys do both, but and then we have a top tier memory player, so like on the PvE side, right? So we're kind of just representing both ends of the spectrum here. So that's awesome. Okay, let's get right into it. So, did you guys play Classic much? You said you're currently playing it, Riddle. How about you, Jigsaw?
Yeah, I'm playing it
Okay.
almost every content tier, and yeah, Jigsaw, how about you?
I'm not the kind of classic mage, because my main goal is the arena.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing the game mainly for arena, and in classic, unfortunately, there is no arena, and that's the reason why I leveled one mage at the start of classic, because everyone did it, and I played with some real life friends, and it was fun. But now I'm leveling 2 mages on classic for TBC retail for the release. If they make it like the server change where you can transfer your character on a TBC server. And I want to play 2 mages in TBC retail, and that's why I'm leveling at the moment, but I'm not really playing it. I did no PvE content and was not going for like this BG groups or going for a title or something.
Mm-hmm. But you have your hands on it, right? So you see how the class is in vanilla in terms of just like what spells you have. So our first real talking point here is class changes. Like just open floor chat, get involved here too. People out in the audience, like what do you guys all think collectively are the biggest changes from the vanilla mage moving in the TBC? Think specs, think talents, think playstyle, mana, everything. Anybody want to start?
Yeah, I think the biggest change is the arcane tree, going from totally useless to one of the most amazing PvE specs. And I think the class gets more mobility. Like right now, it's rather static. You choose one position where you can cast as much as possible on the boss or on the target and move as little as possible. And in TBC, it starts to become more dynamic, like with haste and faster casts and cooldowns, and you can really pump hard in one phase. And it's not like now. It's just you always pump average, and in TBC you will have really high burst phases.
I see. Which is good news, I think, for a lot of people. A lot of people love the idea, the flavor of being an arcane mage so much. So to see that arcane get some love in TBC, and we'll get into like why that is, like what changes about it to make it so good. But there is I don't want to say it's a misconception. You guys have heard it out in the audience, right? People say mages suck in TBC. Or like they at least come down a little bit in terms of power level. Like you have one slot for a mage, and they're behind the hunters and the warlocks, and you know they're not what they were in classic. Is there truth to this, or do you think this is straight up like how did that rumor or misconception even form? And yeah, let's see if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I can only speak there for the PvP thing, and that's totally not true. In TBC, like mage is one of the best arena classes you can play, or even if you want to only go for BGs or dueling, it's like you're insanely strong. You have the best comps. Every BG group needs multiple mages. They're not even that you can go with one mages. They're always taking 2 or 3 because the burst is that high. I mean, you have a pet, like with a pet Nova, you don't even need to cast that much anymore. You're doing like in Classic, you always need to go for, like, if you want to shatter, you're going for Frostbolts and Cone of Cold it for the Frostbolt Cone of Cold shatter. And in TBC, it's like you literally can go for Ice Lances. It sounds stupid to only spam one task and doing big damage, but yeah, you're insane with that. So if you know how to do it and when the right moment is to go for it, then yeah, you're one of the best PvP classes, I would say.
And it sure feels that way playing against them, doesn't it, Crix? Going up against a mage, like they seem as high paced, like fast. You know how Rogue is just super high energy, just APM all over the place. They look like they're moving with light speed, just spamming cooldowns. Like you have that same feeling fighting a mage, and a good mage will just toss you over in 1 friggin' second. It feels like there's, yeah. Anyway, what you have anything on this, Riddle?
Yeah, definitely for PvE. I think the mage position doesn't change too much, because in Classic they are also like maybe the best caster class, but not the best overall DPS, because warriors are such a good DPS class and rogues. And in TBC there's also 2 other classes that you already mentioned, the hunter and the warlock, which are really strong as well. And I wouldn't say you can't run multiple mages, because most of the guilds, if we are honest, are pretty casual, and it will really not be make or break, like if you can kill the boss or not, if you bring 5 mages. So it is not the optimal setup. The optimal setup will have no or 1 mage for PvE, but you can definitely clear the content with multiple mages.
I see. Would you say on the PvE side, because I think most people, if I had to guess, I don't know, chat, what do you think? You think most people in TBC will be doing PvE or more interested in TBC? I'm hoping the arena's pretty damn popular too, but let's just say it's 50-50 for like, do you see mage in the top 5 spots, like sort of damage dealing? Well, that matters to people, right? Like, they want to play a class that can perform and do quite well. Crix, maybe you might have a thought on this. Like, Crix is going to give it to me straight. Like, he knows who the pumpers are. He's a warlock, so he's probably going to be biased against mages. How do you feel about mages in PvE, man? Do they pump? And at different stages, like Kara, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, you're clearing out Sunwell now. What are your thoughts on it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So when I started on the private servers last year, I asked around, like, oh, how good are mages? And everybody told me mages were ass. Like, they're garbage. Like, literally, like, they're not going to see them on the meter. So I went in there expecting that. And of course, you know, they're not. They're actually pumped extremely hard. I've seen fire mages in full spellfire, T4 Prebis keeping up with me, full Prebis. I've seen arcane mages T5 beating warlocks. Arcane mages they're catching up to the hunters. And this is on Overteam private servers with long fights. I can only imagine on short fights how much better arcane mages are going to be, right? And in T6 they did fine until we hit Sunwell. Now in Sunwell, like the last raid of the expansion, now mages are kind of starting to fall off a little bit, but it took them that long to fall off. And by fall off, I still mean they're still beating all the melee. But I mean, it's kind of trading. Okay, up until Sunwell, they seem like they're super pumpers, ultra pumpers.
Even in Karazhan, like, I'm talking fresh
Karazhan.
server. How hard are they pumping? Do you ever see them at the top? Like, top?
Yeah, so as Frost Mage, as Frozen Shadow Weave, no, they don't see them because if there's a Warlock and a Hunter in there, no. But I was in memory with the same as Riddle's Guild. That's how I met him. And the Spellfire Fire Mage was dumpster firing me, and I'm full tailored Warlock in Karazhan. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't know mages were this good. And that's when I got introduced to, a good mage. Once you see a good mage, you'll realize that mages are really good. But if you see an average mage or a mage is not really putting the effort out to be a good mage, because like I said, it is the managing your mana and it's a lot about your stats and your int and everything else and getting innervates and Shadow Priest and everything. And if you have that to fit you, they ultra pump, bro.
They ultra pump. Okay.
It's impressive. It's impressive.
So I'm going to bring something up, these logs, and I'm not the best at navigating logs, but I thought the chat might want to see it. Because you guys have heard this, right, chat? Like, that mages aren't so good on the PvE thing. I don't know where I heard it at some point and kind of believed it because I didn't know what else to think. I think hunters, mages are at the top. But let me try to pull these logs up. While I'm doing this, Riddle, you're on this side of things. Like, how do you feel about the specs in PvE and sort of as the server unfolds? You know, are they stronger early? Are they stronger late? Is it Frost? Is it Arcane? The top spec. There's so much to unpack here that it's kind of almost overwhelming to know where to start. But let's assume early, like Phase 1 TBC Classic. How are mages doing on the PvE side of things?
Phase 1 they will definitely be decent, maybe a little bit behind warlocks and maybe a little bit behind hunters, but they will still pump enough to not justify to say that they are bad. In tier 5, when they get the 2 set of their tier 5 set, they get super strong and will beat almost everybody else. And tier 6, which is also the middle of the content road, they are still pretty good, but can be out DPS'd in some fights. And in Sunwell, as Crick said, they start to fall a little bit behind. But the main point why Mage is strong is their overall DPS. Like if you only look at some bosses, there are certainly encounters which are not tailored for mages, but benefit like class stacking, Bloodlust stacking, that's a 30% cast speed buff on hunters or on warlocks. And if you give hunters and warlocks this buff for the whole raid or for the whole fight, they will pump super hard and nobody else will catch up. But speaking in overall damage, like on bosses and trash, mages absolutely destroy until late tier 6.
Until late tier 6. Okay, so it's interesting you say that, and I want to hang on to this point for a second. Yo, Kraken, by the way, thank you for the monstrous donation. That is very kind of you. So you've heard of an AoE cap, right, chat? You've heard this term thrown out. A lot of people don't quite fully understand it. I forgot the exact value, but I think it's like 10 or 15, right, or something like that. Does anybody know?
Yeah. It's like 10k, and crits can exceed this cap.
10k? What do you mean by 10k? I thought it was an amount of targets, like a spell.
Yeah.
Amount of targets.
It caps out at 10,000 damage before critting. And if you have like 20 targets and you manage to deal 10,000 damage, it will cap out, and it will also cap out at 50 targets.
So does this... Some people might think, for the people one-pulling Maradon, for the people doing ZF farms and farming all this Golden Classic being this powerhouse, is their dream of AoEing stuff down in TBC dead? It seems like maybe not if you're saying that they're doing well on trash.
Yes, totally, it's dead. I mean, you can still pull it and the kill phase will take forever because you pull 500 mobs and it will just take 15 minutes to kill mobs.
I see. So you can still do it, it's just you're gonna deal no damage and it's gonna take forever.
Yeah, your blizzard will tick for like 2 or 3 damage if you pull that many mobs.
I see. But so how do they do so well on trash then? How are they able to keep up with even warlocks and stuff? Are warlocks the king of AoE in TBC, you'd say, or do you think?
Oh, Griggs is listening. I think warlocks are pretty strong, but their downside is threat, and mages can just start early because they have so little threat from talents in the arcane tree, so they can start blasting arcane explosion like 5 seconds earlier, and by that time, by those 5 seconds, they will already have such a big lead on DPS that the warlocks need a very long time to catch up.
I see.
I feel like from the other side, I feel like mages every 3 minutes super pump trash. And then also we forgot to mention you literally need a mage and sometimes 2 mages for trash because they have to CC a bunch of shit. They're in charge of CCing everything.
In what respect? Just slowing it with
dude, raid trash and TBC is about CCing shit. It's not about group. But even on speed runs, I doubt you will be able to. You will be able to, but I doubt you're going to be able to every fucking raid tier go in there and pull up all the trash, just seed it down. You're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to CC. There's a lot of ads and they get the CC out of it, which is what a mage does because they have the best CC in the game.
Does Blizzard have a base slow in TBC, or is it still talented?
Talent.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. And then also Ice Block is base in TBC, right? So you don't have to get it in talents, which is huge. I mean, that's a threat dump too, right? I mean, if you just go full Zug, you can just block it and be fine.
Oh, that's only a temporary threat dump. But if you want to have a complete threat dump, you can use the new invisibility ability.
That's right. That's a huge class change. Mages get invis, and they get a pet, guys. I know this sounds kind of basic, but some of you might be forgetting. They get a pet water elemental. I played a mage for a bit back in TBC and was stoked to have this pet. It can drop a Nova at range. I forgot exactly how long it stays up, but it's, you know, I don't know. What is it, like a 50% uptime overall, or maybe 30% uptime? It's 3-minute cooldown.
Well, you get 2 of them, by the way, because they're called snap.
Yeah. Yeah. With
For
cooldown.
45 seconds, you have the water elemental.
Yeah.
So it can be 50% uptime on short fights.
On short fights, yeah. The cool thing about the water elemental, I don't know if it's overtuned on private servers, but it freaking pumps, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it hits for 800. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I mean, do you think it's going to hit that hard back in real TBC? I mean, the thing is insane.
I hope not. I can hope not.
Yeah.
Because it adds the elemental, that's what I was talking, it adds a whole elemental. Speaking from a warlock perspective, I usually don't have to banish that thing. Now I have to banish all the time because that thing pumps.
Mm-hmm. Yo, it really does. It really does.
Yeah, what do you need to say about that? It's like different on every private server you played there. It was like the water elemental was hitting different. Like on Endless, it's pretty high, I would say.
In-house, it feels super high.
It's same on Henhouse. It's same on Henhouse.
Okay.
Henhouse, Motherforge, and Endless. The water elemental is hitting pretty high. On Netherwing, it was not that high. In Karazhan, I have no mage there. I don't know it, but it was also back in the days on other private servers like Phoenix was warmer, and the elemental was not hitting that high.
I see. Now, I have these logs up, and I suck at understanding how to navigate this particular site. Legacy players, I just, for the life of me, can't. It's
weird.
It's weird compared to Warcraft logs, right?
Yeah,
But-
it's sus.
I went here, I hit raids, I sorted by TBC, you know, Karazhan, SSC, TK, just to see what was going to pop up, because this is the best I could do. And I'm seeing some boys in blue up there, man. I mean, even this is Karazhan, the number 2 guy is half in Karazhan doing 1131 DPS. I don't know if this is overall or how they calculate this.
That looks weird. I don't know. Well, not everybody logs, by the way. You have to choose the logs, just like WoW logs. But these right here, like these, what you're seeing, these warlocks, all those warlocks, I know those warlocks. Those are top warlocks.
Those are top
like
warlocks.
big brain,
Wolfgar.
Wolfgar. Yeah, those are big brain warlocks.
So, and then people always talk about tier 5 set bonus with
Rick.
Arcane.
Huge
And
man.
so this is SSC, and you see Horvik here at the very top.
Yeah, Horvik is a good player in the best guild, so
Yep.
he obviously pumps.
He obviously
And
pumps.
I think I don't know if it's still on Karazhan, but on Netherwing he even got some group support, which is usually never the case because people tend to dump arcane mages into healer groups, which is a big mistake, by the way.
Okay.
SSC. Well, also SSC is kind of a weird judgment, I feel like, because that's not really one where hunters have a lot of shit they got to handle. They don't really just be able to stand there free and pump. Like if you look at Lady Vag, they're not just sitting there pumping the whole time. They're dealing with the elementals and the tainted cores and stuff. So I don't know logs. Because normally, like if this was just like a straight single target, if there's a way to go to a straight single target boss, I swear I bet you'd be hunter, mage, warlock.
I see.
Yeah.
So is the general progression with because you know how in classic mages went frost kind of phase 1, I think, right, and then they eventually they just stayed frost and then it went fire come AQ, and then I think they're still fire. I don't think there was never any moment for arcane. But is it like you start frost and then tier 5 go arcane and then go fire sunwell? Is that how it works in TBC?
Like in the start, you can go any spec. It depends on your mana support. Like you can go Arcane Frost in the start. You can go Frost. That's the least mana consuming spec. And if you have good gear and good mana support, you can also go Fire. And I think in tier 4 in the start, Fire is the best spec for on average. And Arcane is second, I think, and Frost is third. But the difference is not so big.
I see. Out of pure personal curiosity too. So the Arcane Mage, they just spam Arcane Blast, right? And then the flavor of Arcane Blast is it keeps costing more but dealing more damage. So you're spending, man, it's such a premium, but you're doing insane damage. In theory, if you pumped every like Innervate, PI, everything into an Arcane Mage, what would happen? Like, would it be so nasty? Like, would they be top DPS by a
Yes,
lot, or?
until late tier 6.
That sounds pretty damn cool, right? Like, you just mana is power as a mage, you know, and just
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do with the cooldowns anyways? Like, even on the buffed private servers, the healers will most likely not run if they use consumables. And for classic TBC, which should be significantly easier, the innovates are just free damage if you use them on mages. And if you use them on healers, it's basically an excuse to not use consumables.
I see. So you have a good shot of actually getting the. Well, does it do more for a mage than a warlock though? I feel like Crick should have something to say about this. Like, is the innervate going, and pet PI? Who's that going to?
No, I don't need no innervate.
True. What about PI?
Fights, PI would be dope. For a warlock, we can tap, and there's enough movements in these fights. It's not classic where you're holding still. There's enough movements where you can get a few taps in with moving, so you don't have to worry about that. But
yeah,
the mages need it. Give it to the mages, baby. I don't need that.
Okay.
I'll pump without it. What's up?
All right. That's pretty cool.
PI would be nice. PI would be nice.
Could you go arcane throughout the whole thing? You know, like tier 4 all the way up, or would it be kind of bad? Like, why would it be bad to start if it is?
It would be bad because in the start you will have a hard time in Karazhan with mana support. But then on the other hand, you can also do some Arcane Blast rotations, like you cast a few Arcane Blasts, then you cast a few Frostbolts, and that will make your average DPS go up, but your mana consumption will not be as high. So I personally will go Arcane from the start. That's also much easier to gear. You don't need like the infamous Spell Strike set. You can go with Spellfire only. So that's definitely something for people who are a little bit more lazier, or don't want to jump on all the Biz loot and take a relaxed approach to gearing.
I see. Crix, you said something the other day that really stuck out to me. I still remember it when you said it, and it was some people in your chat was saying this too. And I'm just curious because I never actually asked you why this is. So, chat, if somebody asks you what are the top 3 DPS classes in TBC in what order, generally speaking, right? Like, of course, that's too simple of a question, but most people are going to say Hunter, Warlock, and then maybe Mage, right? Some people would say Mage. So these people in his chat, and Crix was kind of like even nodding his head a bit, was saying that it's actually Hunter, Mage, then Warlock. You're telling me that Mage can pump harder than Warlock?
It depends. I think it depends. Well, it depends on what is the mage getting. I've been outpumped by a mage. They got double Shadow Priest. You know what I mean? Is the mage getting interface? Is the mage getting? What are they getting? What is the mage getting and what is the warlock getting? Am I in my warlock group with the Boomy and Ellie and getting chained lust like normally, or is the mage getting double Shadow Priest interface and he's getting lusted? It depends.
But warlocks are known as the legendary DPS class in TBC. Like, this is a whole new beast. If you're telling me it's that close that a mage can,
it's close. Yes, it is close. I think it's close. I could be speaking Riddle. You can say whatever you think. I think it's close the whole fucking time until Sunwell, and then at Sunwell you significantly see mages fall off. Yeah, T4 T4 where it's like hunters are kind of like in their own fucking genre, pretty much. You know what I mean? They're just kind of they're just broken. You know what I mean? But outside of that, you got warlocks and mages tit for tat. A good warlock and a good mage equally geared, getting what they're supposed to have in their groups. They're going tit for tat.
Okay.
So Sunwell.
I also think it hugely depends on group setup and mana support and what Crick said with multiple lusts on warlocks. I mean, those logs you never can compare like a log who gets 3 bloodlusts in a fight to a mage who gets 0. That's where those crazy numbers from the legacy players' sides are also coming from.
I see. Okay, well, hopefully this is getting something in your mind here, chat, where, like, some of you were sleeping on mages, admitted, right? You were like, yeah, I think mages kind of suck in TBC, and now you're starting to see, not only do they not suck, they're up there with warlocks, man, and they're up there with the top DPS, and that they fall off a bit during Sunwell. Anyway, let's keep it moving, though. Racials, do you guys feel, is it pretty flexible with which racial does one really stick out on the PvE side of things? And we'll talk about PvP right after with Jigsaw. On the PvE side of things, is there a significant racial advantage?
Yeah, for Horde it's definitely Troll, because Trolls have the Berserk ability, and with that's basically a free Icy Veins. It's like, I think 10 to 30% cast speed for 10 seconds or so. It's crazy because again, as an arcane mage, I would say I'm an arcane mage friend or fanboy. But as an arcane mage, you can put in so many spells in that time frame. And as a fire mage, for example, you can't, because your spells are like 3 seconds. And for Alliance, there's a debate going on between Gnome, because they got more intellect, and arcane mages can benefit from intellect. It's basically their second best stat, or best, depending on your group setup, and human. And I personally think human is a little bit better. There are also simulation programs.
Whoa. Say human is better?
Yeah, because they got 10% spirit. And if you get innovate and improve divine spirit from the priest, that's actually bigger than the 5% intellect from the gnome ratio.
Wait. How do you get value from spirit again other than evocate? Is there something... I think I blanked out for a second. How does the spirit affect the mages?
But innovate, if you get innovate from a druid, then you get like 400% or 600%, I don't know the exact number, but it's huge, increased regeneration from spirit. And if you have 10% extra spirit, that's of course even better. And the priests, the discipline priests, have a talent called Improve Divine Spirit. And you usually don't bring it to raids, many people say, but in my guild we made the experience that it's decent enough for most of the raid healing to bring this priest. But that's discussion still going on.
Dude,
I think it's okay.
This is shattering my mind right now. I love it, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Human mage, the ultimate meme of vanilla WoW, the ultimate representation of dad gamers and stuff. I say that endearingly, but people will roast you for playing human mage. Actually, possibly, could be better than no mage. They're all laughing right now. All of them in the chat, the lurkers that are human.
Yeah, it seems better.
Mage.
You can
That's
download the
hilarious.
program raw, and you will see it. It's a little bit better.
That's hilarious, man. Oh man. Oh, anyway. What about, okay, on the PvP side of things, is there... How are we doing on the racials over there, my friend, Jigsaw? Do you have a preference? Do you think any stand out as being, like, way better than others?
Human mage, bro.
Sure. No, not a human mage, man. For sure not.
Definitely not human mage on
That's
this.
the only race you shouldn't pick there. PvP. Yeah, so 90% of the people who play PvP and especially play mage would say horde side undead for sure. I would agree with that. And the most comms, it's especially in arena or even in BGs, you want to play undead because of the Will of the Forsaken, who breaks the fear. It's totally huge because you're going with many double DPS comms in arena in 2s, like Rogue Mage. You need it against like Lock Druids, even against Priest Rogues or something. They can fear you the whole time, and you want to have that Will of Forsaken to not need to use your Trinket. So, and even in 3s, like it's sparing up time because the healer don't need to dispel you because you have your Will of Forsaken, or you even can pre-will something to cast and stop the fear, and you get not interrupted with that. But on the other hand, there are some comps also for arena where you can use like Troll Racial. It's pretty big because of the haste buff, like Rill explained it. And because you're casting very fast with that, and especially in Season 3 and Season 4, where mages can get haste pieces out of PvE, like from Black Temple, Hyjal and Sunwell, and even from Sulaman and from the badges, you really need to go, or want to go for haste, and that the Troll Racial comes back and some comes to be very big, like some Shadow play if you're playing with a Shadow Priest, a Restore Shaman, and a Troll Mage. You even don't need your Will of Forsake because you have a Tremor Totem who breaks all the fears, and you have a Shadow Priest who dispels you the fears if needed. So you can go legit for more haste and go very, very fast because you have Bloodlust in the back, you have Icy Veins on. If you have a haste trinket like Mind Quicking Gem from back from Classic, or even if you have the Black Temple Skull of Gul'dan, you're casting like a monster. And if they let you cast, you legit can kill all 3 targets by your own.
Wow.
So that's also,
That's
if you are a troll mage, or also for people who are playing, like saying, yeah, okay, I want to go for PvE and I want to go for arena too, which comms should I do? I'm telling you guys, take the best Shadow Priest out of your raid, take the best Restoration Shaman out of your raid, and Formers versus Recomp. It's called Shadow Play, and it's insanely strong.
That's a hard-hitting tip right there. Somebody's gonna do that in the chat, bro. Somebody's writing that down right now. Like, alrighty
All
then,
troll
know what I'm doing.
mages, go for Shadow Play. It's really good. Even you
That's
can
cool.
also play all other comps like RMP, RMD, or whatever you want, but that's a comp like where a troll mage is.
So you're not a laughing stock in the PvP community if you're a troll. You know, you're actually
No,
you're fine.
really not. So it's
Yeah.
maybe not that good for 2s, because yeah, you wanted Will Forsaken, but for 3s and even 5s. For 5s, it's also very big to be a troll. And yeah, on the Alliance side, it's a bit different because there's like only one race you should pick, and that's Gnome for the Escape Artist. And there's not.
But is that even that
much
good for a
else.
mage though? Escape artist? Like, are you still gonna find decent value from that if you had to play one? You think, knowing what you know about the mage class?
Yeah, you have value from that when you play against like warriors or other mages. I mean, you can break a Frost Nora, you can break a slow, you can break a poison slow from a rogue or something. It's huge in the right moment, but
Saves
it's
your
not
blink,
that
too.
huge. Yeah, it's not that huge like Will of Forsaken, let's say. So, yeah.
Okay.
If you're on Alliance side, go for
If you're on
it.
the line side.
Yeah. I have to say that the difference between gnome and human is not like groundbreaking, it's tiny. So going gnome is totally fine,
I see.
even for PvE.
Except for they're ugly, so don't do it.
So let's move on to the next thing. We're making good time. I think we're really focused, Cricks. I feel like we're getting a little better with each episode. It's already so much fun. We're moving on to gearing and itemization. So let's start on the PvE side of things. When it comes to gearing a mage in TBC, not all classes are created equal on the gearing front. Like, I've been recently playing a hunter on Endless, right, Cricks, and just getting the Beast Lord set, you know, getting your Ebon Nether Scale or whatever it's called. It's a piece of cake to gear a hunter. Is it a piece of cake to gear a mage? Is it expensive? Is it cheap? Is it fun? Is it not fun? Is it the most competitive? Is it the least? All these things are racing through my mind right now. What do you have to say about gearing a mage on the PvE side of things?
I think they're the same as Warlocks, right? They got a lot of tailoring they got to get. Don't you guys get the same thing as Warlocks pretty much, too? They got to get Spell Strike, Spellfire, or Frostweave, right?
Yeah, I mean you get those as unless you're Arcane. But as a Arcane, you only want Spellfire, but as the rest, you also want the stuff Warlocks get, basically.
So yeah, they're expensive. They're expensive, and they still got to get leatherworking, too.
Yeah, and it's a lot of farming. But you can do most of the stuff alone, or in groups. I mean, as an Arcane Mage, it's again easier. You can get some decent blue items with intellect, spirit, spell damage, which sounds totally weird, but those are, when you put it in a simulation program, they are super close to the Spellfire set. It's absolutely crazy.
So you're saying you don't necessarily need Spellfire as much as people think you need Spellfire? Or
No. I would say you definitely need Spellfire. You should get it, but you don't need to focus on getting it ASAP.
I see.
So,
Okay. I see. So, I mean, Cricks too. So, I mean, gearing up a Warlock, you made it sound pretty expensive and pretty hard to get everything. So it's kind of
Miserable.
in a similar boat. Like, it's very expensive. More so than every other class? Or?
I feel like Warlock is the most expensive, yes. Because we just have to go Spell Strike, Frozen Shadow Weave, Girdle, Ruination. We got to craft a lot of shit, and then leatherworking. But they do too. Mages craft the same things as we do, and they got to do leatherworking. So I guess they're the same.
And,
right?
and what about the guilds, though? Like, let's say you're just on a loot council, and then trinkets and stuff drop. Warlocks, are they getting prio because they do more damage, like, historically, or like that's kind of the precedent? So the mages
the
are
trinkets
left to
in the
try?
game. The trinkets in the game are like mage specific. It's like we don't use them. Like Warlocks just go straight icon and they get the DMF trinket, while mages actually have trinkets they can get in raids. Like whatever, like Sextant, I think it's called, from Tidewalker or whatever. Mages will use that, or Shamans will use that, whoever, but Warlocks don't use that. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of the trinkets that mages use, Warlocks don't even use. We can use it, it's just not, I mean, outside of like Quag's Eye, obviously the previous one or whatever, outside of Quag's Eye, our next up is DMF. You know what I mean? Theirs is from a raid.
yeah, and mages can't use DMF, but the other trinkets you already named seem basically better or equal.
Yep.
Okay.
And then also they, what was it? We share tokens with mages. Warlocks and mages share tokens with hunters too. But I don't think they even need
Jesus,
T4,
that
right? Do you
sounds
even
like
need T4? I don't think they need T4 because it gives prio to Warlocks, but they need T5, where Warlocks don't need T5. So it kind of works out. I feel like Warlocks and Mages mesh pretty good together.
But wait,
Although I don't think it's
tier
a 2
5 they
team,
would
though.
share too, though, right? Like those classes just share for all the tokens the whole way up. So that
No.
sounds like the most competitive.
No, not all the way up. Just so T4 and T5 you share with the same 2 people. Like a Warlock will have Warlock Mage Hunter, and then T6 Warlock's Pally Priest.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know where Mages go after that. So I don't know why they do that, but it switches up in T6.
I think mages share with rogues.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, mages, you always talk about how they need this tier 5 so bad. Is that a problem for you mages? If hunters and warlocks, like literally the most
Oh, they're
competitive?
proud it.
Oh,
They're proud it. Mages are proud it right away. Yep, right away.
Yeah,
And then
it's-
Warlocks are proud T4.
It's so big for mages that you need to be insane to prio it to any other class.
Oh,
It's huge. Our Mage went from like, I don't know if he was optimizing min-maxing in T4 content before he got his 2-piece, but he went from like, 6th, 7th, 8th on the meters to literally like 1st, 2nd off of just that 2-piece, bro, or whatever the fuck the piece is. I don't even know what the piece is, 2-piece or 4-piece, whatever it is. It's really good. Witnessed it.
The 2-piece and the 4-piece are really good.
You said 2-piece. What do they do? Can you explain what 2-piece and 4-piece
Yeah.
do, please?
The 2-piece increases your Arcane Blast damage by 20%, which is absolutely bonkers. But it also increases the mana cost by 20%. But the point is, Arcane Blast is like, it costs more mana the more you cast it. But it only applies to the base mana cost, which is low. So the 20% are basically not noticeable, or not very much. And the 4-set bonus is like 70 spell damage on a crit, and with the uptime you have from critting, it will be like 50 to 55 spell damage on average.
Okay.
What is the tier 5 set called? I'm going to pull it up on the DB, just so people can maybe even see it. This is like
Tirisfall Regalia.
Tirisfall.
Yeah, like Glades. Like
Oh,
Glades,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, this is a legendary set, folks. Like, might be something you want to just, like, learn about coming into TBC.
Are you wearing that 2-piece in-game in Sunwell and stuff like that too?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, okay.
And
Wait, so
also
Bis
some-
forever? If you 2-piece of this is Bis forever?
Yeah, 2-piece forever.
Wow.
Forever.
And 4-piece until
Forever, ever.
Sunwell. Forever, never,
Forever.
ever.
Yeah, that sounds kind of chill. Just get 2-piece tier 5 and chill. Nice. That's pretty nice. Okay. Well, let's move on to the PvP side of things. All right, Jigsaw. So, if you're really interested in PvP, first of all, do you need to touch PvE at all? Let's think of Arena Season 1. Let's think of just transitioning into TBC Classic. We're gonna be there in a couple months, most likely, right? So, wait, is that stressful? Is it painful? Is it not too bad? What do you think?
If you want to go really 100% for Arena and really want to kick off the ladder, you need to get some PvE items.
PvE items.
And the first seasons, like Season 1 and Season 2, it's like Spell is the best stat for the PvP mage. You want as much Spell as you can get. That your Ice Lances and your Frostbolts and all of your spells are doing the most damage, so you need to go to Karazhan and get some, like, one ring of that, the Karazhan ring, where you can get with the reputation. You want to get some, if you are not an engineer with the goggles, or even at the start of TBC retail you don't have these engineering goggles, so you want the legs from the theater, and there are a bunch of stuff, leading the dagger from the prince from the end boss of Karazhan. You want gear that has much spell. It's like, or spell on. And even you want some 1 or 2 pieces that have some hit on it. So you need spell hit, like 4% in the arena, you need 4% spell hit. And you are not getting that with PvP gear. The only 2 PvP items who gave you some spell hit are a ring, where you can get from some badges in Oshidum. I don't know the exact name of these instances. They're next to Shatrat, these instances. Maybe Crix, you know it?
What, the ring from Badges? I do not know. Are you talking about the Bad ring?
Yeah, there's some.
I know there's a lurker ring that you
need 50 badges and can buy ring with some resilience on and spell hit.
Do you mean the Spirit Shard ring?
Yeah,
Seal the
Spirit
Exorcism.
Shard ring.
Seal the Exorcism.
Exactly.
Spirit Shard.
Seal the Exorcist or something like that. Yeah, Spirit Shards. For 50 Spirit
exactly.
Shards.
Oh, what's it called, though?
Yeah.
You know what it's
No,
called?
Seal of the Exorcist or Seal of Exorcism.
I don't know the exact name.
Exor. Just search for Exor.
Exor? Okay.
Seal of X, you'll find it. Yeah.
Seal Band of Exorcists or Seal of Exorcists?
No, it's
Oh,
Seal
there
of
we
the
go.
Exorcist. Seal of the.
There it is.
Exactly,
Okay.
that it is. So that's one of the items who give you some spell for PvP, and the main hand from
And it's-
arena points is giving you some spell.
So
I
what's-
think not even in the first season. In the first season, you're not getting spell hit from the weapon. It's like season 2, where you get the first spell hit of the arena weapon. So it's a bit hard to get your spell hit in the season. In the first season, you need to do PvE.
So there's a bunch of new stats in TBC, right, guys? Stat lines. There's Spell Pen. There's Resilience. There's
Haste.
other stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's
Haste, Armor Pen. Yeah, there's a lot.
How do you like? What's your order of operations? Is it 3% hit you need for PvP? Is that the first thing you do? And also, what is Spell Pen? Is it important?
It's
What does
4%.
it do?
It's 4% hit. What you want to have for PvP, and it's hard to get the spell pen. Normally you want to have 45 spell pen, or at least 43 spell pen as a mage for the arena. Let's talk about the arena, because that's the main fact where it's very important. And in the first season, it's nearly impossible to get it, only if you use some spell pen gems for it. So you need to gem your gear with spell pen to reach it. It's important against warlocks, because warlocks, and especially the warlocks' pets, have a higher resistance chance against your spells. That means if you have 0 spell pen, you will not get any spell for warlock, and you don't want to have that in the arena. It's insanely important to get those spells on a warlock, so you need some spell pen. You can enchant 20 spell pen on a cloak, and that's
And gem
a
for
good
it. That's
start.
about it, right?
Yeah, enchant for it, 20 spell pen on the cloak, and then gem for it. Yeah.
Do you want that 70 like you do for the priest shadow prot too? Is that why you get 70? Do you try to aim for 70 as well? Like warlocks
No,
try to
I'm
aim
not.
for 70. What do you guys aim for?
I'm not aiming for 70. We are aiming only for 45, 43.
So let's say it's season 1. Are you gonna gem full spell pen? Like, are the most important things that you take care of first? Because in season 1 there is no season. There potentially is no set to work
The
with.
most important thing you care for is spell. So
Spell
you
hit?
literally want to have spell. So
spell damage.
pure spell damage. Yeah,
Spell
pure
damage.
spell damage.
I see. Okay.
Pure spell damage.
Spell damage.
So, and your spell hit. That's these two things are very important. So,
Okay.
and then you try to get your spell pen done, and then you're fine for the arena.
And then what about moving into future seasons? So let's go. Like season 1's going to be the
Moving
weird
into
one,
future
right?
seasons is like in season 3 or season 4. There's a big change. The haste is coming, and you want to go for that haste. Because haste means your sheeps are insanely fast. If you're using Icy Veins and want to cast a fast sheep in a pretty sketchy moment. And I'm personally, so there's a bunch of different people talking about haste things and at which percentage you should go for it. And I'm always saying, like, if you're not reaching 9% haste with your gear and with the gems, don't go for it. Because it's not worth. Like, if you have 5% haste, it makes not that much difference to your casts before. Like, I think you get 0.3 haste, 0.3 cast time out of it. That's nothing. So
But
you don't need it.
Do you have to touch PvE?
You need to prep your gear with as much haste as you can and reach at least 9%.
9%. Okay.
As a total at all.
So do you have to keep touching PvE? Because some people probably just aren't that interested in raiding and don't want to find a guild and go through all that. Like moving into the future, starting with season 2 and beyond. Like, do you have to touch the raids in order to get everything?
Sadly, you need to, and you need to raid the full content because you really need this PvE gear, and you need the mostly best pieces out of the PvE gear. What every other cloth damager is also want to have. So you need to raid.
Okay.
Would you say it's a weakness of the mage for that? Is it a lot
Yeah,
of gear you
it is.
need for it?
Yeah,
is
it is.
it something where you can just pug old content and get it, or do you actually have to be like?
No,
to
you
keep-
need
if
to
you
be.
wanna-
At
Okay.
you really need to be originally a good guild and raiding from the start off, and you also need to farm batches. Like you need when you're really gonna go for the best gear you can have at this point of the season or at this point of the time. You need to farm like 250 batches
Yeah.
only for the haste gear.
Mm.
It's like
Mhm.
farming heroics like shit and doing all the raids and do the PvP battlegrounds to farm the PvP gear and do your arena
Right.
and spec your engineering and do your enchanting for the ring enchant.
You got to play a lot. If you play
There's a
mage.
lot of stuff
Yeah.
in TBC PvP compared to Classic you have to do. It's nice.
Yep.
It's
But
fun though.
For Warlock, is that similar though? Like, do you need is it as sweaty?
No,
for
there's
Warlock?
there's two things that you want from PvE, but they're not game breaking. One's the ring from Lurker, and the other one's a trinket called Void Star Talisman (VST). You don't need them though. It's really good, but you don't absolutely 100% need them. Like, you're not going to... You don't need PvE gear.
Yeah.
You want stam, res, that shit.
Okay. All right.
For PvE, yeah, there's a good amount of PvP gear you need to PvE, though, but that's not hard to get.
And then just on the itemization front for PvE, because I think I skipped over it for a second, if we could just quickly go over it. It is the priority spell hit, spell damage. How does it shake out in your mind, Riddle, in terms of how you're prioritizing the stats?
Yeah, it's definitely spell hit until the cap, and I mean there are guides out on YouTube on Google for all 3 specs, so Arcane, Fire, and Frost. And then you go spell damage, and for Arcane Mage you can also go Intellect, and then you go basically Haste. Then you go for crit, because crit is no matter what spec you are, it's the worst scaling stat you can go for.
Oh, interesting. And for a lot of classes, it's the best scaling stat. Is it because there's nothing? Is there no crit damage bonus for mage or something? Is there nothing?
No, that's not the issue. The issue is that you need like 22 rating, crit rating, to get 1%, and you need like 15.7 haste rating to get 1% haste. So, because of the lower rating requirement, the other stats are better.
There it is. We put it so simply. Write that down, folks. Write that down. Okay, let's move on to PvP. Okay, so this is going to be a juicy one. Something I'm very much interested in right now, since I'm actively playing on these arena servers. The mage in a duel. How do mages do dueling? This matters. Maybe it doesn't matter. It matters to everybody a little bit. I admit it. You're going to say it doesn't matter, but dueling is a part of the game, and people like to duel and duel tournaments and all that stuff. How does the mage do? What is your best matchups, worst matchups? What do you think, Jigsaw?
Okay, yeah, to the dueling part, so the best matchup you can duel as a mage is obviously a warrior. You're dominating warriors in a duel pretty much, so 98% of the time you're winning the duels against warriors. But it's not that easy against good warriors. I have, like, last week or 2 weeks ago, like, I lost one game in a 1v1 in the arena against, like, one of the rank 1 warriors. And he dominated me. Like, it was pretty unlucky when they get some procs and stuff going with improved harmstring and mace procs and something like that. Don't underrate them. And one of the hardest duels for sure is like against a restoration druid. I think that's the one that's impossible. Also, you are not winning a restoration druid. Healers, anyway, maybe in the later seasons are a bit easier, and all other classes, literally you can win them in the duel. You're a duel beast. Like, rogues are pretty sketchy. Like, a rogue is a race, it's only a damage race. You're doing damage as much as you can. There's not about much. If you see some tactics, sometimes about of sheeping or something, it's legit. The best way is race this rogue down as much as you can, because he's doing the same.
Well, in Classic, that is seen as the gold standard duel. The mage rogue is they say it's even for both sides. The better player wins. It seems like that. So does that carry over into TBC? It's kind of fair, but it's a race.
It's a race, and in TBC the rogues are a bit ahead, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the rogues are
Cloak of Shadow.
a bit ahead. Yeah, the Cloak of Shadow. Not even the Cloak of Shadow. The damage is really high. Cloak of Shadow, mind poisoning, and there are many things. So if you're resisting one Iceland, maybe on a frostbite proc or on a frost knower, it's over. You're losing. So, yeah.
I see. And you still do quite well against warriors, even with spell reflect. Even they have a few more tools,
Yeah,
but
sure,
you
for
still
sure.
you
And
still
there are
trash
also
them.
add-ons for it that shows you when the spell reflect is ready and something. So it's not that a big deal.
Okay.
Warlocks are also not that easy in a 1v1 duel. So in the arena, most of the time, it's one of your hardest enemies, a warlock, because he's playing in twos most of the time with a druid. And druid and warlock are pretty hard for mage. I think it's the same in classic, so that doesn't change that much. But you can win them in TBC. You can win, but yeah.
I see.
If you have two equal players, I would say the warlock wins the most games. So maybe not all, but the most of them.
Unless it's me, then it's a free win.
I will say one thing too. So, for those of you who play arena, What the fuck is a tactic? So for those of you who play Arena, you know that when you get to those 1v1 situations at the end of the game, rogues are like kind of the nastiest at winning those 1v1s, right? But mages are up there too, because mages actually are the one class that has food in the arena. Everybody can get water. It's called like salty tears or something. I forgot what the water's called. It's some kind of tear, right?
Stars, tears.
Oh yeah, so stars, tears. But mages have food too, so you can just kind of like reset, poly, reset, eat, and kind of just slowly cheese your way back up into the game, right? And you can win a lot of those clutch 1v1s at the end, which is always a lot of fun.
To be fair, in the arena, it's kind of different, because if a rogue has like a pillar where he can kite you as a mage, even when you have the blizzard and can blizzard behind pillars, a good rogue will always outkite your blizzard, and the rogue is the 1v1 beast out of the arena. Those guys are, even if they have no food, they can go for first aid and re-stealth, and even with the eye, who can detect their stealth, a good rogue is like outplaying your eye. That's not even a big deal anymore. It's like they staying behind pillars and stepping out of the pillar and zapping you, even if you have that eye, so they don't care. So a good rogue is let's say 90% winning 1v1s in the arena.
I see.
What would you say about the human stealth detection talent? Is it useless or useful in arena?
The perception?
Yeah.
The perception is really huge. It's one of the best arena talents you can have. But on the other hand, it's like good for many comps, but you're losing the Will of Forsaken again. And it's like you have that in the opener. Maybe you get the opener with it because the perception... it's like you have a way better stealth detect. I don't know the exact percentages of it, but it's way better. You're seeing other rogues like 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards away before they see you. So you can set them out easily. So, and it's good for specific comps, which when I play against it. So, but at the end, you want to have that will. Because a rogue is 80% playing with a mate together who has a fear, and playing against a guy who has a fear, because fear is the CC in the game. Was the most often, so nearly every class in TBC has fear.
Okay, so just to summarize this, you're amazing in dueling. The two classes you struggle with most are probably rogues and warlocks.
And restoration druids, yeah.
Restoration druids, but they're never killing you though, right? They're just gonna be unkillable. But...
Oh, they can kill you. They can kill you.
Oh, they can kill you. Oh.
Yeah, they can kill you. They have dots and bleedings, and a good restoration druid will kill you at the end.
Oh, I guess that's similar in classic too.
It takes some time. It takes some time, but he will kill you.
He will kill you. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. So how about on the twos bracket? What do you think the strongest compositions are for a mage if you're interested in playing N2s? And how do you think they do in the bracket? And yeah.
The twos bracket, it depends like on the seasons. Like in season 1 and season 2, where the gear is not that high and the people have not that much healing spell and not that much spell and not that much resilience. Like comps like Rogue Mage are insanely strong. Rogue Mage, especially there comes the Alliance Rogue Mage. If they have the opener with the perception of the rogue, because they see other rogues, and they can zap them out, and then they have the perfect opener. You die in an opener. In a good go against the Rogue Mage, you die in the opener in season 1 and season 2. It's like really go for Rogue Mage. In the next seasons, like season 3 and season 4 in 2's bracket, I would prefer to go for Priest Mage. Discipline Priest Mage, or even in Season 4, if you have a bunch of PvE gear, go for Shadow Priest Mage. It's also pretty insane and a fun comp. But
now,
yeah, it depends. It's always preference. Like,
is Fire and Arcane a complete meme? How do you feel about that? Do you think you could do pretty okay?
Fire and Arcane are out of the arena. It's like you can play Pomp Pyro Mage. It's like you're pressing one button and throwing that big fireball at someone, big Pomp Pyro, but that's all. In the higher brackets, you get outplayed with that.
Nice.
At the start of Netherwing TBC, we used to get the Season 1 dagger, because it's better than the reputation weapon you can get, and which stands in basically every guide. And the mages in my guild went Arcane Mage in 2v2, and we just sheeped both enemies, and Arcane blasted them down. It worked pretty well in the start when nobody has resilience.
Yeah, such things can work. To be fair, they can work, but I'm always saying if you're really gonna go high for arena and aiming for a title, it will not work.
Yeah, definitely. That was only for getting that dagger.
Okay.
It's pre-biz.
So your preferred healer is a priest. You don't really see Druid Mage too much. I guess that's not a thing. So
It's possible to play, and it's pretty fun. If you have a good Druid, it's pretty fun because you have Cyclone and Sheep, and it's not sharing a DR.
Mhm.
So you can basically CC one guy forever if you want, but you want that offensive dispel of the Priest and the Priest damage, because a Discipline Priest can do huge damage if he wants. And
I
you
see.
need that kind of extra damage because you have no Mortal Strike, you have no MS, you have nothing to heal reduce, and you're running out of time because we said at the start the mana bar is always your enemy.
Yeah. I wonder, you ever try running with the Troll Priest for the healing reduction there with that guy?
It's the best racial for Priest Mage if you have a Troll Priest. Yeah.
Damn.
Troll Priest on your side.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, do you think if you love twos, you love Mage, you want to play Mage and twos, you think you can reach the highest titles and achieve your wildest dreams in the bracket with the class? Nice. I'd love to see.
I would say go Rogue Mage.
Go Rogue Mage.
In the start.
Okay. Let's go to threes then. On the three side of things, we just did a PvP arena deep dive with Ozzy God and Rec D the other day, and they were talking about how threes is a bit more balanced. There's just more abilities that can counter out certain counters or balance out certain counters. What would you say the strongest comps are for a mage on threes?
The strongest comp for mage in threes is for sure RMP, Rogue Mage Priest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a comp that exists since Season 1, TBC Retail, and you can play it in every season, in every World of Warcraft add-on, you can play it. And it's in TBC, I think it's the strongest comp in the arena in TBC for Mage for sure, and one of the top 3 comps at all. So if you know how to play a good RMP, you're winning nearly all enemies. So you have nothing to fear about. Maybe some double heal Warlock comps or double heal Rogues, a bit sketchy, double heal Hunter, something like that. But all other comps, you're winning. So you're extremely strong with RMP, or if you want to change your Priest later on, it's better later on. So at the early season, Season 1, Season 2, go for RMP. It's the best way to reach rating. And later on, Season 3, Season 4, you can change your Priest also for Druid, for RMD, because it's the CC beast, like I said, in 2s, you can CC forever, and it's the same in 3s, and you even have a Rogue who can blind and zap and kidney shots and do his thing, and yeah, pretty good to go for RMD too. So RMD, RMP, and there's then the Shatter play with the Troll Mage. It's also a huge comp, and I think it's one of the most funniest comp for Mage, because you're a monster with damage. Everyone is scared of you in the arena, and if someone stands in the open field, you crush him with Bloodlust and your cities. And that's are the 3 strongest comps: RMP, RMD, and Shadow Play.
Shadow Play. All of which are S tier comps, though. You hear those are some of the best comps in all of 3. So it really seems like on the PvP side of things, you have nothing to fear playing a mage. It's just a good ass time all throughout Season 1 through Season 4. Great comps you can play. So far, based on this deep dive, right? I mean, mage is looking like a solid choice in TBC.
It's pretty magical to watch him in arena too. Like when I watch Jigsaw streams, and it's just the stuff they do with their blizzards to slow down the warriors, and then the line of sighting blizzards from across the pillar. It's dope, man.
They're pretty flashy class for sure.
Yeah, they really are.
That's good to hear. Okay, so that's just the real light and polite broad strokes on PvP. I guess the last one would be World PvP, but I mean that's just like sheep and run away if you're ever in trouble, and we'll be fine. Okay, PvE. We talked about specs. We talked about itemization. What about AOE? Grinding and gold farming kind of is the same thing. Can you make gold pretty decently well as a mage? Is that much harder in TBC? What's your best option here?
I think there are a few spots where you can decently AoE farm, but those are well-known spots and they will be overfarmed. So I think that unless you find some secret, is kind of overfarmed and dead.
I see. So they go from the gold-making gods, the cash cows of Classic, to kind of being relegated to the standard gold farming spots? Or,
yeah, roughly. Maybe a little bit better.
Maybe a little bit better.
I mean, if you have an AoE spot for you alone, it's pretty okay. But it's not, by far not as insane as in Classic.
I see. Now, if you are trying to AoE, like kill stuff as fast with AoE as possible, I've heard that mages like downrank flame strikes and like what is your rotation with an AoE rotation for max DPS? Are you, and why would you downrank flame strikes if that's the case? Or are you just spamming arcane explosion the whole time?
The flame strike has a dot effect, a so-called grounding effect. It's like the consecration from paladins, and this effect does not count towards the AoE cap. So you can have your flame strike, which does a big damage hit. Then you have the dot on the ground, and then you can put another flame strike on the ground. And if mobs live long enough, the two highest ranks of flame strike are pretty good DPS. I didn't crunch the numbers for TBC, but that's the case at least for a classic. And for the rest of the time you want to spam Arcane Explosion because it does so little threat that you can start so early. So you basically you have some talent in the Arcane tree. If you go Arcane, you can instantly Flame Strike and then Arcane Explosion, which will likely be your best AoE rotation.
Okay. That makes sense.
The Flame Strike has a dot effect, a so-called grounding effect. It's like the consecration from paladins, and this effect does not count towards the AoE cap. So you can have your Flame Strike, which does a big damage hit. Then you have the dot on the ground, and then you can put another flame strike on the ground. And if mobs live long enough, the two highest ranks of flame strike are pretty good DPS. I didn't crunch the numbers for TBC, but that's the case at least for a classic. And for the rest of the time you want to spam Arcane Explosion because it does so little threat that you can start so early. So you basically you have some talent in the Arcane tree. If you go Arcane, you can instantly Flame Strike and then Arcane Explosion, which will likely be your best AoE rotation.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm trying to find ways to make this section valuable too. I think there is a lot of stuff that we can do here, but it's all kind of, forgive me for this being all over the place, but just to bounce back on the PvP side of things. Let's say you are about
sorry.
to... Yeah.
Something came to my mind about AoE. Sorry for not saying earlier. If you use Icy Veins, your global cooldown also gets reduced and you can pump harder on AoE.
Ooh.
You can cast more Arcane Explosions.
And that's something not just Icy Vein specific, right? In TBC, Haste actually reduces your global cooldown, so it's fixed in Classic at 1.5, but it can go down. Is there a hard cap on global cooldown reduction? Can maybe only go down to a second or something, or?
Yes. So if you spam 1 second Arcane Explosions, you can actually also pull threat from good Paladin tanks.
Can you get the global below 1 second though, or is that it literally it won't budge past that?
No, 1 second. You can go. You can get your cast speed of some spells below 1 second, but that doesn't bring anything because you have to wait until the 1 second global is over.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, Jigsaw. I mean, this is honestly just really valuable. Like, I want to be somewhat proficient with all the classes and just to know the general like opener for a mage, just like in a 1v1 type thing. You know, you can extrapolate out that to a million different situations. Like, what's your general thought process? You're about to duel, let's say, another mage or a rogue or something like that. How are you lining up your spells? How are you thinking about your spells? What's your general opener on them?
It's totally different against every class, I would say, the openers. So, but mainly against some other spell, some other casters. You want to get your mage armor on, some Arcane Intellect on, some Magic Dampen on, and get your mana gem ready, some food. And then you're starting especially on a 1v1 against a mage, it's pretty sketchy to be honest. So you're starting it and you want to try to fake the counterspell of the enemy mage, so the counterspell is to interrupt something and you want to get him sheeped, so sheeping here, and I want to fake the counterspell first of the other mage. If I'm getting him into full sheep, I fake the counterspell, or even he's not counterspelling, I'm starting spell stealing. So that's a thing that's not exist in Classic, the spell steal, and it's huge for TBC. Huge, very huge. It costs a bunch of mana, so take care you can't spell steal the whole time. It's not like you're a disciplined you're not a priest or a shaman. and you can't spell steal that often. But you want to clean your enemy mage, fake his counter spell, and then you want to start to pump him. You put out your elemental, you put out the CDs, and you start doing damage. And you don't even need to go for cast. Look, the pushback of your frostbolt there, and even then I can CS it full. Go for one shatter, it's a frost shatter, you can't ice block, one arcane explosion, and you would be dead, and it's pretty fast. I'm telling you, the duels 1v1 against mage are insanely fast, and one mistake costs you a game.
Cost you the game, and it's similar in Classic too. It's the type of thing where, like, as a warlock, a lot of times you would think, oh, I need to get fears off on these everyone I'm fighting because fear is so powerful. But oftentimes it's just instants. You have so many valuable instants you can do. That was the case with mages in TBC, in Classic at least. You know, they're just arcane explosion, fire blast, cone, shield, and
it's exactly the same in TBC. You don't need to think about it to go for these big shatters you always see in some movies or something, or you see it. Oh, there's a huge number of shatter, like you're making 5k damage of a shatter for all crits, but that's wrong, because in arena, in duels, in BGs, everyone who sees a mage casting wants to stop him. And you don't want to get stopped, because when you get stopped you make no damage in this time. So you want to be the guy who stands behind and doing his damage with instants and sneaky peeky, doing the most damage you can do there, even without going for cast and without getting stopped. You don't want to get the attention of the enemy that's seeing, oh, there's a mage, he's casting frostbolt, so I need to stop him. So they use everything to stop it, because they know if they don't stop you, they will crush you.
Yeah. And you probably have mind numbing on you as well, right? If you're up against a rogue, because you're not healing yourself.
Yeah,
so you probably have mind
a good
numbing.
rogue's always mind numbing you up, yeah.
So you're just kind of spamming ice lances, and you're like just Nova,
You're spamming
like
ice
lance.
Novas.
And you drop the Nova with your pet and ice lance off that.
And especially with a mind numbing poison on you, don't want to go for that sheeps, because that's time. You're losing time with that. You're getting only damage, you're losing mana, and a rogue can stop your sheep with like 5 different things. You need to fake all of that, and then he can rotate through it and has the kickback or something. So yeah, a mind poison is a pretty sketchy thing. So if you're up with that, the only thing you do, spam instance.
I see. No, that makes a lot of sense. And invisibility, is this something that's a useful tool to you? What is the use case of invisibility in the arena?
For sure. Nearly every arena game is the useful of invisibility, even when you go for BGs and want to like cap in a rati base some flags there or something, like you're invisibly and sneaking away from all other people there. No one sees you and you're going for the cap. Or when the doors open in the arena, like you play with a rogue together, you are in voice, you can't see your enemies in invisibility. That's important to know. You can't see your enemies, and your rogue, he has the eyes for you, so he's telling you where are the people standing and what's happening at the moment. Like he zaps one, you're declining your invisibility, coming out, and then you start the game. Like you're pretty much every arena game you're starting with invisibility.
And invisibility is different from stealth, right? So let's say if a human pops perception,
he can't see you.
The
only one who can see you is the other mage and a warlock with the warlock magic invisibility detect buff.
Yep.
There's a buff, but only can do warlocks. They can detect stealth, and they see the mages. So if you play against a warlock, your stealth, your vanish is useless.
And also eye, right here. Eye will not see you as well.
And the eye also see it, yeah.
Oh, it does see you?
Most of the time, you see it with the eye. But most of the time, when the eye is popping out, you're not in invisibility anymore.
It's on cooldown already, probably, yeah. Okay, I mean, that's all really, really useful stuff there. Cold Snap, to get 2 blocks. Cold Snap gives you all cooldowns again, except for the arcane stuff, right? It's only frost, so you have double block, double icy veins, double pet. Spell Steal, just to point something out there,